I don't think we live under what I thought we live under, an actual, like, dome. I think it's more of a...
Let's find out.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald
Please subscribe. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County. It's 2:27:25.
Don't ever do that again, Chris. That was creepy AF, as the cool kids say.
Why don't we get right into it? Let's start off with some history, shall we say, of myself.
Oh, history, is it? Well, here's a quick history lesson for you, Chris. For centuries, brilliant minds using observation, mathematics, and, actual science have been able to prove that the Earth is, without doubt, a sphere. An oblate spheroid, to be precise. So your history is about to get a reality check, pal.
When I first got into this, there was a little thing, well, maybe it wasn't the day I got into it, maybe a couple of years after I got into it, there was a little thing going on with veganism and some other bullshit. Some YouTuber creators were fighting amongst each other, and I think if you go way back into the Wayback Machine, I remember there was one video I put out saying, why can't we all just get along?
Ah, yes, the delicate ecosystem of the online flat earth community. It's fascinating to observe their tribal disputes. You can almost hear Sir David Attenborough narrating.
Here we see the flat earther Veganicus clashing with the flat earther Carnivorous Rex. Their arguments, while lacking in scientific merit, are rich in passion.
I've been doing this for a lot longer than you think, okay? Because remember, whenever the first video I put out was, I spent almost up to a year contemplating it, trying to figure out if it was actually true or not, and going back and looking at videos and looking at the ocean, and looking at the stars.
And this is where you landed. So before you publicly declared your allegiance to a debunked theory, you were secretly contemplating a debunked theory. It's like a time travel movie where the hero goes back in time to make the same mistake he made the first time around.
Just re-examining movies, and seeing globes in every movie for no reason at all, and the back of a detective's office. What the is a globe doing there?
What? Globes in movies are evidence of a conspiracy. So set designers doing their job to create realistic environments are secretly part of a global, pun intended, cover-up. I need a few seconds. My suspension of disbelief just snapped.
A few moments later.
Next you'd be telling me that the presence of chairs in movies is proof of a secret society of furniture manufacturers.
And then it finally occurred to me they need the conditioning. You see, when you see that globe, whether you even know you're looking at it or not, it doesn't make a difference. It just keeps you conditioned. Okay, they need this. They need you to be asleep.
Warning, prolonged exposure to globes may cause an uncontrollable urge to understand basic geography. Side effects may include critical thinking, a grasp of scientific principles, and a sudden aversion to tinfoil hats. Consult your local astrophysicist if symptoms persist.
Okay, they need you to keep thinking about the stupid shit in life.
Things like flat earth, you mean?
Spank you, helpy helper done.
And not researching flat earth.
Oh, right, let's see then. So according to you, that would include science, education, history, geography, space exploration, and apparently having a globe in a movie. So basically anything that contradicts your preconceived notion of a flat earth. Right, got it. That's a very broad definition of stupid though, Chris. And research flat earth, you say? Now, is that the kind of research that involves watching YouTube videos from other flat earthers and completely ignoring peer-reviewed scientific studies?
And not understanding everything that you used to do and understand when you were a kid is all bullshit, and everything you learned in school is all bullshit.
Ah, yes, the good old days when we all knew the earth was flat. Wait, what? I seem to remember learning about the solar system, planets, and globes when I was in school. Maybe your childhood was different, but mine involved a distinct lack of flat earth indoctrination.
All right. They don't want you to know this. They're trying to buy as much time as they can. They've only been doing this for a short time now. You know, and if you really look at it in the terms of, you know, a couple, maybe a year, I mean, not a year, 4 generations, you know, that's really what they're working on right now. You know, 4 generations of lies and bullshit. Forget about 500 years ago, okay? I'm talking about now. Things that we can actually physically prove to each other about how long this lie has been going on.
They have only been at it for 4 generations. Well, that's surprisingly recent. I thought they were supposed to be an ancient, all-powerful organisation. Are you telling me that they are basically just millennials? Well, I feel slightly less intimidated by them now. And why is it that it's always they and them who are to blame? What about these and this? Or even that? Maybe it's their fault.
NASA was created. The sky was owned by NASA. You know, you can't shoot anything up there without getting an okay.
I'm sorry, Chris, but your statement is incorrect. NASA does not own the sky. We have a strongly worded letter from the lawyers of... From the lawyers of the sky itself. And apparently it's a free access zone governed by the laws of physics, not NASA permission slips.
I can't go in my backyard and go with a GoPro rocket without getting okayed and certified through some ridiculous group, FCC.
You're right, Chris. It's outrageous that you can't just strap a GoPro to a potentially dangerous projectile and launch it into airspace without any oversight. The nerve of the FCC trying to ensure that your amateur rocketry project doesn't interfere with things like, I don't know, air traffic control or telecommunications. The tyranny!
But don't you see the control? And that's what the government does, is they want to control everybody. They have billions. I don't know what the population actually is, but let's just say hundreds of millions. Let's just say the population here in America.
Hundreds of millions? That's impressively imprecise. It's like saying there are just a bunch of stars in the sky. True, but not really helpful. The US Census Bureau might have a slightly more accurate figure. You can check. But I guess they are part of the control as well, yeah? Where are you going with this, Chris? And can we please just hurry up and get there?
They want to control hundreds and hundreds of millions of people. Okay? And make them think one cult. And that cult
is flat earth. Because it is kind of culty. You know, think about it.
Now, the experiment that happened down in Antarctica, and I don't even want to call it an experiment because it really wasn't. It was an observation.
Yeah, you're right. It was just an observation. An observation which provided evidence. And that evidence, when analysed using, you know, science, led to a conclusion that the Earth is not flat.
Yes, science!
Because as your pal Dave Weiss said,
the 24-hour sun in Antarctica doesn't work on a flat Earth.
Yeah, so it may have been just an observation, but that doesn't make it any less devastating to flat earthers.
You know, it was something I wanted to check up on YouTube, but I'm just going to go out and say it. I don't think we live under what I thought we live under, an actual, like, dome. I think it's more of a stadium, almost, on our flat ground here.
If it's a stadium, where's the concession stand then? I could really go for some overpriced nachos and a fizzy drink so big I could swim in it. Oh, and do they sell those, you know, those spongy foam hands that say we are number one? Because the last time I had one of those, the doctor gave it to me after my colonoscopy.
Well, ha ha ha.
That would explain the sun and the reflections of the sun, how you can see the sun in different places.
So the sun, which according to flat earthers is supposedly a small local light source hovering over a flat earth, is somehow reflecting off what exactly? The stadium walls? The upper deck, maybe? Is there a giant cosmic mirror strategically placed in Antarctica? It was ridiculous when you believed we were covered by a dome, CC, but this is worse. Somehow?
You know, I don't think it's flat. I think it's a little bit curved on top. That's how you can create that 24-hour sun down in Antarctica. But I don't think it's an actual, just like depicted in the Bible or something like that. You know, like they Spielberg did with his show Under the Dome. You know, and I don't think it's something. I think it's a different shape, and that's actually what's creating the 24-hour sun.
So it's not flat, it's not a dome, it's a slightly curved stadium. The Earth's shape is getting more and more specific, and yet somehow less and less convincing. Is it going to be a giant, slightly curved banana next? A cosmic croissant, maybe? And I'm glad you said not like the one from the TV show The Dome, because that would have just been silly, wouldn't it, Chris?
That's the only thing I could think of. And the sun being in different points. And it would explain the stars, too, in a way.
We'll get to the stars in just a second, but have you noticed, Chris, that nobody on our side of the argument has needed to do any of the things flat earthers have needed to do? And what I mean by that is we haven't needed to come up with some sort of bizarre and convoluted way of explaining how we get a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. We just have to look at what happened last year when the sun was out for 24 hours, and the year before that, and, you know, I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this.
There's nothing. So these are lights in the sky. What you're looking at is like the Hayden Planetarium. Okay, that's basically what you're looking at.
LEDs, incandescent, fluorescent. Are they energy efficient? Does somebody have to change them when they burn out? And who pays the electricity bill? A planetarium, CC, is designed to simulate the night sky, which is based on the actual positions of stars in a spherical model of the universe. You're comparing reality to a representation of reality and somehow concluding that the representation is the real thing.
Go down to the Hayden Planetarium, kids, okay? It's still there in New York City, and go inside, and you can't tell the difference from the inside or the outside.
Has anyone checked to make sure the roof hasn't blown off?
So that's what I think. Now, let's go on to the little treat that we have here that we could all talk about.
There's a treat? Nobody told me. I hope it's something really good now.
And I can give you my experience with it in the many years that I've been doing this. Let's get into Patricia Steer.
Well, Mark Sargent was trying to do that for years, wasn't he? And he didn't have any luck, so what makes you think you're up for the challenge?
Pops up and goes on a show and starts hosting a show out of the blue. Let's wonder how that could happen. Very easily. De Niro, yes.
Hang on a second here now, Chris. Are you expecting us to believe that a person who claims to believe the earth is flat is only doing it for the money?
Same with Jaredism. Let's take a look at his situation. Well, he just moved too, because apparently his address was given up through the internet.
He didn't by any chance have David Weiss's app on his phone, Chris, did he?
And he was worried, so he had to buy a new place. He got his mortgage paid off.
Did he? Cool. Brilliant for Jeranism. And if he did, first of all, how the hell do you know? And secondly, what's it got to do with you? Or the shape of the earth, for that matter?
Now, who's paying this off? Will Duffy? No, I don't think so. I don't think he has that much money. He might have been able to flip the Antarctica observation down there, but I don't know if he could pay for these mortgages. I don't think he has that much money, but who cares? Doesn't matter where the money's coming from. All I know is that they got it.
Well, that's quite a refreshing change, actually, Chris, because most of you, gang, seem to think that Will is some Scrooge McDuck character with an infinite pot of money.
No, someone's not going to put 10 years of their life into something and then just wake up one day and say they've had enough.
But that's not what Jaren did, is it? Jaren attended the final experiment and accepted the results.
Doesn't work that way. Not flat Earth. not this. Because you're not forced to know about it, okay? You are given the idea and you run with it yourself.
People don't leave flat Earth because they're surrounded by a community that reinforces their beliefs, constantly feeding them misinformation and conspiracy theories. It's an echo chamber where dissenting voices are silenced and critical thinking is discouraged. It's not about not being forced to know, it's about actively avoiding knowledge. Jaron chose not to lie to himself and his audience about what he saw down in Antarctica. It's as simple as that.
All right, so let's get into it. It is 8 easy facts that falsify the flat Earth.
More like 8 things you see in the sky that say nothing about the ground you walk on.
You know, it's amazing how you can dismiss observable phenomena as sky things. I'm starting to think you also probably believe the atmosphere is just a giant decorative dome, you know, like a snow globe, and all the sky things are just glitter. Do you also believe that birds are government drones? Because that would explain a lot. So let's find out why a flat earther is attacking a former flat earther, shall we?
Shut up and sit down, you big bald f***.
Please subscribe.
Number 1 is the South Celestial Pole.
Now I get it. Jaron is about to give 8 examples that are completely impossible to explain on a flat earth, and Kyle has thrown his toys out of his pram.
Forgive me for addressing the things on your list out of order.
Thanks for telling us. Not that it makes any difference at all, because you're going to be wrong whichever order you address them in.
Upside down and backwards moving sun and moon. When people throw a whole bunch of bullet points at me, I like to choose my battles and address the weakest points first. Jaron, you appear to have ignored everything I said and have given it nothing more than a handwave dismissal. I acknowledge your response, though. Please remember, the Tropic of Capricorn direction was your 4th bullet point, and I was only addressing your 3rd bullet point.
Confused yet? Well, you're about to be.
Down at the laser on the eastward wall. It's going up. Notice how it's going from left to right? If it wasn't obvious, I even made an arrow for you. Now we're just gonna switch positions. Okay. East. Going up again. Notice how this time we are moving from right to left. West.
That was a well-placed wow, Kyle. But what was it for? What exactly do you think you just demonstrated to us? Now, I think he's trying to show that a local light source moving in a circle above a flat plane could produce the general east to west motion we observe. But there's a critical flaw, which is the massive difference in scale. The sun is not a tiny laser pointer a few meters away. It's a gigantic sphere 93 million miles away from Earth. So what you just did proves absolutely nothing.
Jaron, you might call me a dirtball and all manner of other names, but please notice how I'm not calling you any names back. Okay? As your friend, I care about you. And I see a conflict here, and I'm trying to do whatever it takes to resolve that conflict.
Yeah, but from where we are standing, the only conflict we can see is between Jaron and people who he used to consider to be his friends, other flat earthers. And there is only one reason why you were all attacking him, and it's because he was able to accept the evidence which was presented to him when he was down in Antarctica.
Can we call this one resolved?
If we're saying that Jaron and reality is right and that you, the flat earther, is wrong, then yeah, we can call it resolved, but I don't think that's what you're saying.
Right, now let's talk about your first argument. The South Celestial Pole.
Flat Earth models typically depict the North Pole at the center of a flat magical space pizza, with the South Pole being a vaguely defined ice wall around the edge. There is no single point that could act as a South Celestial Pole in your model. So I can't wait to hear how you're going to butcher this one. Did I say butcher? I meant explain, obviously.
I think this one's best understood with some context. So I'll go ahead and add that context in, and then the rest of your argument will make more sense. In March of 2020, Simon and Dan made your argument about the Southern Pole stars.
On a flat Earth, there is no possibility for for a south celestial pole. What I think that people thought, or what I kind of thought, is that south celestial pole moved around the outside of the dome, if you will.
Okay, let's pause that real quick. At one time you believed in a firmament or dome. Do you still believe in it? If not, what changed your mind?
Witnessing a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, which is completely impossible to explain on your model, which you now say isn't your model, but still.
And when you see this, or we see this, and you go to a coffee cup caustic, you see this effect that's happening coming out of this glass. It's happening in this coffee cup. No, it doesn't mean we live in a coffee cup. Anybody who surmises that is has lost their mind. But you can see these effects that happen because of it, and it just so happens that we're seeing the same effects in reality. So that should tell us that we need to start looking around the ideas of the lens, of water, of reflection, of refraction. That's what's happening, is you've got the light source on the other side lighting up the entire other portion. You know, the light's on the right here coming through, lighting up this, and when we look at sun arcs, it's the same thing. This is almost to a T, it's identical. Now, they want to tell you some nonsense about this, that it's ice crystals in the sky and that they're at the perfect angle. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. To say it's ice crystals doesn't make any sense.
Finally, something we can all agree on, which is perfect. So now are you going to explain how it would work on a flat Earth?
So, just wanted to show that the coffee cup caustic is what's happening.
I'm not trying to sidetrack you with that. I think the firmament of heaven plays an important role when it comes to understanding the sun, moon, and stars.
Oh yeah, the firmament, that thing from the most famous flat earther science book of choice.
T, written by Holly Bibble.
Read some, Peter. You'll love it. It's Harry Potter for stupid people.
Just like how we used to think the Earth was the center of the universe, progress is a thing, Kyle. Maybe you should try it.
What I think that people thought, or what I kind of thought, is that south celestial pole moved around the outside of the dome, if you will. And I saw it. Others people saw it. It does not.
It doesn't have to. That's not the only explanation.
Once again, we agree. There's also the real explanation. Now, is that what you're about to give us? Or is it going to be another one of those weird flat earther explanations where you have to stand on one leg and bounce up and down while chanting? You know, to make it work.
If it was, I don't think we'd have quite as many South American flat earthers as we do.
Really? Well, I can't say I've noticed, but estoy aprendiendo español que me sea útil.
Isn't Irio from South America?
I don't think she was, no.
Just think for a second, though. If there is a south celestial pole, don't you think that is one of the biggest evidences against the flat Earth? There cannot be a north celestial pole where the stars rotate around one direction and a south celestial pole where the stars rotate the other direction.
You're jumping into point 3 over there, Jaren. I addressed that.
And got it completely wrong. All you did was shine a laser pointer at your ceilings and wall.
This is a really old argument. Why are you acting like you just barely discovered it?
And it's a really old argument that perfectly illustrates why a flat Earth is completely impossible. And the reason Jaren may seem as if he's only just discovered it is because he's only just realized what it demonstrates. That a flat Earth is impossible.
Don't you think that is one of the biggest evidences against the flat Earth?
No, Jaren. The things I see in the sky do not determine the shape of the ground I walk on.
Then why are you all spending so much time trying to prove that the things that go on in that sky work on a flat Earth model? If it's irrelevant, why bother?
Welcome back to my living room. Got my laser again.
Doing the same thing twice, when that thing was wrong the first time, isn't going to change the result. It still doesn't help your argument. That is not 93 million miles away or anywhere close to being even a fraction of the size of the actual sun.
But that's not what happens in reality. I was standing at the edge of this area here, looking up, and there's a spot here where the stars go around like this. Right? That's it. There is no sweeping across the sky.
Behind the supposed curvature of their globular Earth. Similar to what is taught about boats disappearing beyond the horizon, they claim these boats, and the pole star, are disappearing behind the physical curvature of a globe, and insist if the Earth was truly a stationary plane, that Australians should have no trouble viewing Polaris.
Jaren, if that is the model you believed in, it is no wonder you left the flat Earth. But something doesn't add up here. You told me you believed the stars circled the outside of a dome. Where is the dome in that model? I don't see any dome. All of the stars appear to be coming off of some weird disco ball North Star. What is up with that? That is not how I have ever viewed the stars.
No, you think they're superglued to the inside of an imaginary glass dome. You said as much earlier on.
The other thing that everyone really needs to watch out for,
Flat Earth Dave's app,
is any model claiming to know the exact location of the stars.
I don't think any of them do that though. Stars are not static, they're moving through space, albeit very slowly from our perspective over a human lifetime, and this proper motion means their positions relative to each other are changing, even if the change is subtle over short time scale.
We know the apparent location of the stars. We have no way of knowing the exact location of the stars unless we know exactly how much the light is getting refracted as it travels through the firmament of heaven.
Ah yes, refraction, the invisible hand that reshapes the entire universe to fit the flat Earth narrative. Refraction is a real phenomenon. However, it does not and cannot account for the vast discrepancies needed to support a flat Earth model. The amount of refraction needed for the flat Earth to be true would make the sky look like a bad acid trip.
And get some.
Okay, and pay attention to this because these stars right here are very important. They're called circumpolar stars. Notice that they don't set. None of these stars set. We're going to talk about that. It's one of the 8.
Jaren, I have no problem with that whatsoever. My model fully acknowledges that.
Go on then, show us. He's not going to pull out the laser pointer again, is he?
That point stays put. It does not move.
I fully acknowledge that also. It doesn't have to.
Well, it may not have to, but it most definitely does.
Could Australia and Africa and South America all see the same south celestial pole in their southern sky?
Not on a flat Earth they can't, no, and I think that's the point you're trying to make.
But the point is that the south celestial pole stays there, okay?
Congratulations. You have successfully debunked one of Eric Dubé's models.
Well, he's doing better than you then, isn't he? Because you haven't debunked anything.
Now, can we observe the same stars in different directions on the flat Earth without them sweeping around? Yes, we can. Please consider the Carly Sunshine demonstration. This video isn't new, it was taken in 2017. And Jaren, you are listed as being there. So please allow this to jog your memory.
That's your proof? A hand holding a snow globe.
Are you taking a piss?
Here we are looking at the reflection of the phone light in the glass.
Yeah. Southern star rotation. Figured out.
Over there. So, star's going this way, clockwise. Oh, it's going counterclockwise.
You're not recording on your phone.
Yeah,
no, but
I am.
Look in there, you see it?
I think I heard your voice there, Jaren.
This is a big cylinder. It's moving the opposite way.
I do counterclockwise, it goes clockwise.
Isn't that weird?
It is a bit, yeah. It's a bit weird that adults are standing there shining a phone spotlight at a fish tank and thinking that it somehow proves the Earth is flat. And was that Dave Weiss's voice I heard? Ew.
The 24-hour sun in Antarctica doesn't work on a flat Earth.
If it could only happen on a ball, then the bottom of the tank must be a ball. And clearly, it is not. That whole observation looks like a miracle just fell right out of the sky into your lap.
No, it doesn't. It looks like 4 idiots shining a light at an object filled with water. So is Kyle claiming that as well as having a dome, encapsulating the entire Earth, that it's filled with water and we just haven't noticed? Because if it's not, what you just did is completely irrelevant. Or what they just did, I should say, not you.
This message has been brought to you by the Flat Earth Institute of Science.
Well, that was something, wasn't it? And it's just made me realise why I've never made a video about Kyle before. He's not even a very good flat earther. He didn't debunk anything. Not that any flat earther ever has, mind you. Thanks for watching. See you again next week. Love you, bye. 2 eggs bobbing around in a pot of boiling water. One egg says to the other, "Oh no, I've got a massive crack." And the other egg says, "Don't tease me, I'm not hard yet."